Hi Copic in the Craft Room fans and friends. I am doing a unique little bit of coloring today. I have created this image myself and I am offering to share it with you if you are interested. It's not a complicated image, but if you head over to scrapweaver.com and sign up for my newsletter, I'm going to send it out. So what's going to happen is right after I post this, I'll do one big mass mailing in the next 2 to 3 days that hits everybody. So if you'd signed up already, you're going to get it. And then those that haven't signed up, the newbies will be in there too. But if you come to this video later and I see your sign up, that'll be kind of part of the welcome letter in upcoming weeks. So if you'd like it, it's a really simple line art, nothing complicated, but if you would like it to color along, it is yours. Just make sure to attach my name to it if you post it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of these leaves fairly slowly so you can see the process so it's in real time. And then we're going to speed it up like crazy because there's a lot of plant to go. So V04 is first this time. You're going to notice it's a darker color, but I'm going to lay that down first. And I'm going to come up kind of near the edges of that outer leaf. I'm using a photo reference and I kind of flip that by you. It's on my phone, so you'll see me go over and tap that fairly frequently to pull that back up. And so I make sure I have that close at hand the whole time. It'd be easier if I printed it out. I just did not in this case, so that I have it without it kind of flashing in and out, or locking my screen would be another option. The next thing I am doing is I am grabbing a V01, and notice I'm going to start on the V04 and I'm going to pull out into that light area or the white area in the center of the leaf. And I do that, pull quite a ways in. I'm not leaving a ton of white, but you'll notice the tip of the leaf ends up white, the center of that leaf ends up white. And actually, if you get closer in, the edges have a little bit of white left on them. Outside that V04 as well. Next is a BV23. This is going to cover some of that V04. As you get in toward the center of the flower, it gets quite a bit deeper. It still has that underlying kind of bright tone, which is what that V04 was underneath, but it does get quite a bit deeper. BV20 is next. Again, similar to what I did with the those V04 and V01. I'm starting on the darker, pulling into the light area, and you're like, okay, wait, you've just covered up what you did. Remember, those are kind of underpainting or under layers to create the colors that I'm really going for. The next color is a G20. Now you're going to notice I'm going to spend some time on this color, and I'm really going to scrub into those blue violets and violets. So I'm going really hard into that highlight area that I left behind and the edges of the leaves. And I pretty much go all the way over those blue violets and violets. It's going to soften those all together. It's also going to change the tone one more time. So this is kind of what I'm going for. And I'm going to double check my photo a couple times, make sure I don't need to make any adjustments. But that center section, that's what we're doing. So ready, set, and it's going to speed up, guys. Here we go. You're going to notice this first group of leaves, I do all the same steps we just did. So I'm going to let you watch. I'll put some fun music on so you guys can just listen and kind of go along with the flow. I'm going to shift some of the color orders in the next set, and so I'll kind of interrupt the music and tell you what I'm doing again. So this group of leaves started with the same 2 steps with that V04 and V01, but now I'm going to BV20. I skipped the BV23 to start. These leaves or petals, as you move out, they don't get quite as dark, and so I'm trying to leave them a little bit lighter from the start. I know right down at the bases they need that BV23, so that's coming in right now, but I just don't need as much of it. So I held off and got that BV20 laid down first. And then here comes a G21. So again, we're just changing those tones just slightly, those colors just slightly as we move outward on the succulent. And I realized after I did this step that I'm really going to have to push those center where the petals overlap at the edges darker. So a BV25 came out. You'll notice, and then I softened that with that G21. Last group is actually going to start with V01 instead of V04. Again, we're changing the petal tone just one more time on this very outer kind of little petals or leaves on the succulent. BV20 is next. G21. This is kind of the bottom half around that bottom edge. Notice on these, one of the big differences is how much white is left in the center of the leaf. A lot more at this point. So as we get out to those outer petals or leaves, it does become much more green versus the pinks and the violets at the center of the succulent. And G20 again to finish those guys off. Now I'm going to come back in with the BV20 and 23 to really push back those interior corners. I'll soften those edges with the G2, the green G21 to kind of finish up these outer leaves. And lastly, to add those deepest shadows with the BV25 and just some of the really tiny corners. Especially as I end an image like this, I'm looking for those spots to push back on, to add depth and push back to show volume. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this was fun to watch kind of this full thing develop. It's a larger piece. The sheet that I was working on was 8.5 by 11, so you can see that I printed this larger. You could definitely print it smaller if you want. Remember, if you'd like, you can stop by my blog at scrapweaver.com and sign up for my newsletter. I don't send many out, but that way you can stay in touch with all I'm doing. There again is a quick peek at the image that I was working from. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a happy, colorful day.